When I created that first company, remember that question that I told you about? How come they have this and we don't? How come our nations are
Hmm.
poor and others are not? Well, when I built that first company, I saw it. I was shocked by the huge discrepancy. Back then I didn't know, but today all you could call it is the ease of doing business. So what did I mean here? We had a sister company in America, a sister company in Senegal. And by now, it's my third time doing that. I'm right now building my third and getting onto my fourth. My fourth is going to be very different from the first three, and you'll see why. But what my three companies have in common is consumer brands, bringing back the very best aspects of my African heritage and tradition. I embed them in a product using African ingredients and African botanicals, and the manufacturing in Senegal and selling here in the US. The first time we did that, back in those days, we were late 2003, early 2004. It took me less than half a day because it was still paper oriented. Today it's 15 minutes, shorter depending on how fast you type, to legally register the business. Less than half a day in the US. In Senegal, it took almost 2 years to legally register. You needed in Senegal all types of nonsense permits and licenses. In the US, it was pretty straightforward. Even in foods, you would imagine, you were like, wait, what? In Senegal, for me to hire or fire anybody, I would have to have approval from the state to this day. US, employment at will. You don't want to work for me anymore? Give me a 2 weeks notice, you're done. I don't want you to work for me anymore. I give you 2 weeks notice, we're done. I can even pay to you the day I let you go. I pay you 2 weeks, you don't have to spend the 2 weeks because usually when people are done, they're just done. And it was like that about everything. The tax code here, today I'm here in Texas. If you have less than $1 million in revenue, you have zero taxes. In Senegal, for example, if we took today, you just compare today, a state like Texas to Senegal. Senegal, even if you make zero revenue, you have a floor
Okay.
tax of $1,000, even if you bring in zero.
Mm.
And it's like that about everything. Everything is so complicated, especially the tax code and labor laws in my case in Senegal, that you have to hire a CPA as well as a director of HR, even if you only have two people that you're hiring. Why? Because the labor laws are so complicated, and you know what comes with complications? Errors. They go together,
Hmm.
which means that in order to do it right, I have to hire professionals, which means higher cost of doing business. And even them tell you that, lady, we are still going to make mistakes, us the experts, which means I am running at a constant fear of being arrested and or harassed by my government, not because I was trying to be malicious or anything like that, but because everything is so complicated that mistakes will happen and I will have to pay the price of that. So when I saw that, I was just like, wow, why is it so hard to do business here? And why is it looks so easy to do business there? As you and I know, doing business is hard anywhere because you have to figure out the market, you have to figure out what it wants, you have to stay on top of your competitors, you have to stay ahead of pretty much everything, otherwise you're gone the next day, right? But that part of doing
Hmm.
business, you and I accept as entrepreneurs because that is what it is. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. So that part of the difficulty of being an entrepreneur, we accept it. It comes with that territory. But the behind the scenes side of it, meaning like all these laws and regulations that are put in the way arbitrarily by our government, that should not be so unnecessarily cumbersome, but it is. And so when I saw all of that, I thought to myself, well, I guess it's because we're poor that everything is so hard, and it's because they're rich that everything is so easy. But the minute you say that, if you follow your reasoning, it leads you to another place. Then you're like, wait a second, you're poor because you don't have enough money. You don't have enough money because you don't have a source of income. What is a source of income for most of us? It's a job, isn't it? Where do jobs come from? The private sector, these businesses.
Hmm.
Well, what do those businesses need? Because see, people don't ask themselves that question. What do those businesses need? Do they happen in a vacuum? No. Businesses need an enabling business environment. Oh, but wait. You just told me that these African nations offer the worst business environments to people on the ground. Because when I first discovered that, I thought to myself, is it just Senegal? Or is this more systemic? And that's when I became much more serious on economics and understanding all of this. And eventually, what am I realizing? Whether it's the Doing Business Index ranking of the World Bank, over Fraser Economic Freedom Index, or the Prosperity Index, all of these different indexes that literally what they measure is how easy or hard it is to do business around the world. They systematically show that which I have lived in Senegal. They show that Africa is the region in the world that has the least economic freedom. In other words, African nations and Africa as the region are the ones that have the most rotten business environment in the world. What it means is entrepreneurs are not free to enterprise. And there you had it. Because if entrepreneurs are not free to enterprise,